Hey guys, Ereki here with another review. This time I'll bring the GC02 Musashi Ghost and Edison Ghost set from Kamen Rider Ghost. This is the second release in the Ghost Train series and gives you all the components needed to turn Ghost into Musashi Damashi or Edison Damashi. So this set includes a few things: 2 parka ghosts, 2 display stands, and 3 accessories. So let's get started. So starting off, we're going to look at the 2 parka ghosts themselves. First we have the Musashi Ghost. This takes the form of a red sleeveless hoodie with bits of black and silver on it. Starting from the top, we have the hood, which has a silver headband piece that wraps all the way around, with a little gap in the middle which will be filled in by the horn. We also have a sword hilt coming out of the back, which is made to resemble a samurai's chonmage or top knot. You have the coat piece, with just a little bit of kind of silver armor-like pieces attached to the front, and some pretty simple black trim. We have the arm pieces, or kind of tassels or ribbons, that hang off the side, and then end in 2 long silver swords. Now for these, there isn't really much in terms of articulation. You can move them forward and back, though that's for the purpose of the conversion. Though you can kind of hold them in a way that makes it look like they're moving, since they are flexible, soft plastic, though you'd have to be a little careful about them popping off, as they have a tendency to do that a little bit easily. Thankfully, they pop back on just as easily on these swivel joints. Though it still would have been nice if they perhaps either put in some segments for these 2 to give a little bit of articulation, or perhaps had these have a wire inside so that you could bend them and then have them keep that pose. Removing it, we can actually look at the custom stands they come with. So they have a pretty simple circular base, but it's the actual stand part that's interesting. So it's this kind of clear stone slab looking piece with Kamen Rider Ghost symbol up here at the top. And these can fit any parka ghost. So that's actually pretty useful, as it means that for any ghosts you aren't using on Kamen Rider Ghost himself, you can have them displayed onto the stand. And the stand is also made to look like the stone slab within Kamen Rider Ghost's secret base, which seems to be the source of all of his power. So it's a nice little nod to the TV series. And if we just take a look inside, you can see that they attach on by the 2 pegs that you actually use to peg it onto the backs, or onto the back of the ghost figure. It just goes in like so, and stays in place like that. Next we have the Edison Ghost, which is a silver hoodie with yellow trim. You can see some electricity elements, or electricity themed elements to it, such as lightning bolts on the sides of the hood, 2 electricity antennas, or kind of lightning rods, coming out as horns. You can see some tubing here, a few bolts on the front, a little lightning bolt tailpiece for the coat tail, with Musashi's being kind of sharp and blade-like. And there's a neat little feature where you can take the 2 little hand pieces here, fold them out in front, essentially squeeze them together to create a little light bulb. This is a neat little feature, and you can rotate it a little bit, just like that, and split it back apart. And this one works on the same kind of shoulder system as the Aura Ghost, so it's got that same kind of articulation at the shoulders, and then a little bit of articulation at the arms thanks to some rotation joints for the tubes, as well as the bulb halves. Next, let's take a look at the accessories, which are the gun saber in Nitoryu mode and gun mode, respectively. First, we'll look at the two pieces for Nitoryu mode. You can see that it's definitely a very accurate representation. You can see the missing half of the blade here, which becomes the second sword. You can see all of the appropriate details molded on and molded in. So in this case, for both of these, they're done in a silver plastic rather than the clear black of the blade mode from Ore Damashi. And you also see that they definitely paid attention to detail here, as you can see the missing segment here for where the blade piece that was pulled out originally was. This is a very nice touch. Then you have the gun mode, which of course is what you expect it to be, with the handle folded down and the second half of the blade flipped around to become a gun sight. And one thing that's interesting is when you compare the lengths of them. As you can see, there is a little bit of difference in the blade sizes. And in this case, it's basically the blade parts being shortened for gun mode rather than being elongated for Nitoryu mode. As shown, by comparison with the blade mode, it is longer here as well. And that's basically just a reflection of the proper placement done in the show for the different modes. So next, let's move on to the ghost changes.
Musashi, Ketto, Zubatto, Kengou.
So for Musashi Damashi, we'll take the Musashi Ghost off the stand. Then fold back these two tassel pieces and fold up the face. And as I said earlier, as shown, the horn does indeed fill in the gap for the headband. And as usual, we fold forward the front parts, slide it down onto the back, slide the head into place, and peg it in to the back of the figure. Ensure everything is nice and properly situated. Then equip him with the two Nitoryu mode halves, the bigger one in the right hand, and the smaller one in the left hand. And there you have Kamen Ghost Musashi Damashi. So here we can now see the face with the colors filled in. You see, it looks pretty nice, with the ghost now coming to him kind of like a jinbaori that a samurai would wear. And while there's nothing much going on with the shoulders, you do at least have the two arms or these kind of ribbon parts that now hang off the back, to give him a little bit off the shoulders. And in this form, it does give him more articulation at the shoulders and at the arms in general because of not having any sleeves. So you do get a little bit more posability out of this form than you would be able to with some other forms, which is certainly nice. It does overall look quite nice on Ghost in general. Though I will admit that for Musashi Damashi, the whole thing of the two blades forming a face is a little bit tougher to see than the others, just because so much of the face is black and with just these two little parts being red. You basically have to look at it as having very large eye, kind of a very large eye area, with just the rest of the face being the small bit of red for the two swords. And then, of course, a little bit of black down here for the mouthpiece, but overall, it's a good looking form. And it is nice that you are able to get a little bit more posability out of it just because of the way it's designed, as well as being given the appropriate weapon. So for this one, of course, first going to start off with removing the Musashi Ghost from Ghost himself. Which is a little bit tough at times, just because the head really wants to stay attached on there. So then we'll take the Edison Ghost, take the wires and rotate them around, or the tubes rather, and peg in the two bulb halves to the shoulders. Just like so. Do the same on the other side. Make sure it's nice and secure in there. And flip up the face. And like before, we'll slip it over his body, head onto the head. Make sure to get the face part properly aligned. Make sure it's pegged into place. Then equip him with the gun saber in gun mode. Which is a little bit tricky just because of the way it's designed, and it doesn't really work so well with the finger style. But there you have Kamen Rider Ghost, Edison Damashi. So once again, you can see the nicely filled in symbol on the face, or the persona as they're known, with the compound pattern underneath. And see that here, the part of ghost becomes something of a lab coat, which is fitting for a scientist or inventor. It has a nice range of coverage, and once again does look nice. Though this one, since it is styled similarly to the Aura Ghost, its articulation is similar to that of Oridamashi. I mean, you do kind of have to work with it, and it can be a little bit tricky at times, as it is a bit limited, but you just have to maneuver the shoulders appropriately to fit with the arms. And overall, it does have a nice look to it. It's just a shame that the hands don't really grip the gun so well. And of course, with both of them, as you can see, they do still have the part that holds onto the face pegged in at the back. So if you want, you can unpeg that, attach on the face first, then attach the parka, to give them a little bit of additional head articulation. And additionally, with these three, well, obviously you're going to be having the one that you're not using on display on one of the stands. You can also now display the Aura Ghost on one of the stands when it's not in use, which is a nice way to kind of make up for how the Aura Ghost and basically the Oridamashi set didn't come with one of these stands. Though I guess in this case it's kind of assumed that if you had that, you would basically just be displaying it all the time in Oridamashi, rather than Ghost Transit and the Aura Ghost separate. So just like that, you can see that the Aura Ghost fits on quite nicely. And there we go. Overall, this is a great set, and a nice little startup to the additional ghost changes. This also really shows the diversity within the ghost changes and the part ghosts themselves, as they're not identical like recolors or anything like that. They do have different molds, they have different styles, and they also have nice touches in both their part ghost modes and when it comes to Ghost himself. I mean, it's really cool to have stuff like the sword arms for the Musashi Ghost and the light bulb halves for the Edison Ghost, as well as how when they're attached to Kamen Ghost, they are appropriate kind of clothes to go along with what, or rather who, those forms represent, as well as coming with the appropriate weapons and these nice little display stands, so that when you don't have them on Kamen Ghost, you can at least have them properly displayed to look like they're floating around, rather than just lying on the ground. So that definitely really makes it worth getting, just because you'll know that you can both use these and also have them displayed alongside the Kamen Ghost. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting more ghost changes for Ghost. And definitely say that if you plan to start getting into the Ghost Change series, buy both the Oridamashi figure and at least this set, if not at least one Ghost Change set, so you can give him a couple of different forms that you can swap between and have some playability. So next time I'll be reviewing the Deluxe Yokai Pad from Yokai Watch. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, or share it. You can check me out on Facebook at facebook.com/KRX50. And for now, this is KRX50, writing off.